After 18 months of driving, starting from Alaska, we're finally here. South America.
Locals have basically blocked off the road to physically stop you.
What are we doing? This beast of a continent might be our biggest challenge yet. From the untamed Amazon jungle and icy peaks of Patagonia to roads so rough our suspension is gonna need a pep talk. Today we're embarking on a 9-month journey to drive across South America and see it all. Our South American adventure begins in Colombia. On day 1, we set off from the port town of Cartagena, our first introduction to South America's hustle and bustle.
The traffic here in Colombia is pretty crazy. It's really sensory overload. There's cars, there's trucks, there's a bunch of motorbikes overtaking you and everywhere. Everybody's honking.
Colombians drive like they have 9 lives and can pack more stuff onto a vehicle than you'd find in Alibaba's cave. That is a live goat on a motorbike. Today we're focusing on just getting into the groove of life here in South America. So of course our first stop just had to be...
This looks good. This is chorizo desgranado, a very typical dish. It's got small pieces of fried potato, got a bunch of grilled meats, some bacon, 3-4 types of cheese, 3-4 types of sauce.
South America is making a great first impression. We want to see all of this crazy continent from top to bottom, so this week we drive up the Caribbean coast with the goal of reaching the northernmost point in South America. Along the way, we dive into the culture and the great outdoors, but most importantly, we uncover what this part of the world is really like when you're here. We've all seen fear-based headlines about Colombia, and people keep telling us we're rolling the dice by trying to road trip this part of the world. Is that the truth? We're putting our nerves and our beliefs to the test in an attempt to find out. For now, we're enjoying the ride and the views on the journey north. We drove past this 19th century castle/fortress and made a cheeky pit stop to visit... Yep, that's Shakira. She's Colombia's most famous singer, which is why her hometown of Barranquilla has put up this giant 21-foot bronze statue of her. With the sun already setting, we needed to find a safe park up for the night, but the traffic decided otherwise. So on our very first day in South America, we had to break the one safety rule that we'd set for ourselves: to never ever drive after dark. Luckily, we found a truck stop off the highway that let us spend the night there in our van for just a few dollars. Things didn't totally go according to plan today, but hey, we found probably the world's only truck stop with a view of the Caribbean Sea. Good morning. I just got up and I went outside to go for a pee, and I saw probably the most unusual thing I've ever seen at a truck stop. That's unbelievable. These are massive. Turns out these macaws belonged to the restaurant next door, and their owners were really welcoming. They also ensured us the birds had already had breakfast, which made me feel a lot better when they decided to hold one.
Donkey traffic jam in the morning.
An hour later, we arrived in the city of Santa Marta, nestled in between the Caribbean Sea and the Sierra Nevada mountains. Santa Marta is the oldest city in Colombia and one of the oldest in South America, dating back to the 16th century. I really like Santa Marta. It's this beautiful city with these beautiful little streets, but I also love the contrast here because it's a little bit gritty as well, which is kind of typical, I guess, of Colombia and South America in general. Really good.
Good too.
Santa Marta is the last big city we'll pass through on our way north. After this point, things just get more and more isolated until eventually there is no more civilization around. So we stocked up on some supplies and looked for ways to escape the oppressive heat of the Caribbean coast.
We made a quick stop here at Rodadero Beach in Santa Marta. This is a beach that's more in the city. It's got the beautiful blue Caribbean water, some high-rise buildings over there, a but I found a beach that's potentially even more beautiful, so let's head there now.
Hey, yeah. What?
Now this is more our vibe. This is Playa Taganga. Not too shabby for a beach right outside the big city, I would say.
So refreshing. I feel so lucky to be here right now. This is a random Thursday. I'm here sitting in the Caribbean Ocean, 30-degree weather, beautiful sun.
¿Lo quieres solo en limón?
Ah, sí, con todo.
Ese es el famoso ceviche.
So far, this week has felt like South America on easy mode, but that was about to change.
We just got back to the city center of Santa Marta where our van is parked up, and the local just told us that there's actually a gang war going on. They're having a turf war. There's shootings every day. So the city is not super safe at the moment, and there's even a curfew at 8 p.m.
I'm a little bit shocked actually because we just had no clue. We just got to talking to this guy and we asked him, hey, by the way, is Santa Marta safe? And he was like, no, it's actually quite dangerous at the moment. For the past month or so, there have been murders and shootings almost every single day. And I was like, dude, I can't believe we didn't know about this. We couldn't find anything about the curfew online, but there were plenty of news articles about the violence by the sicarios, which means assassins or hitmen. Our nightly routine of sleeping inside our van, somewhere on a quiet street, yeah, that was out the window.
¿Es posible parquear aquí por la noche? Que casa rodante, que dormimos aquí.
Okay. So, here's the deal. The van is currently in a secure parking lot. They're gonna close the gate all night long. And when we asked if we can stay here, he was like, but you won't be able to leave and no one can enter between 11 and 7. And we were like, that is exactly what we want. Today we're driving up into the mountains to escape the heat and our worries, but more importantly, to get our first glimpse of South America's Sierra Nevada here in the small town of Minca. And right off the bat, this felt like a different world.
We just started our hike up to what they said is one of the most beautiful viewing points here, but it is a 2,000 feet elevation gain.
Buenos días. ¿Qué tal?
Hola, buenos días.
Hola, hola.
¿Cómo
¿Qué
estás?
tal?
Muy bien.
So Colombia is known for being the most biodiverse country in the world when it comes to bird species. We've seen so many birds already on this hike. And there's one other thing that you'll find in abundance in the Sierra Nevada.
I thought we were almost at the top.
The Sierra Nevada is killing me, man. And this is nowhere near as steep as things are gonna get on this trip. Oh. The viewpoint at the top is called Mirador 360, which translates to Viewpoint 360. It's one of the toughest climbs we've ever done because it's 2 hours going only uphill, but
We made it! Woohoo!
there was nobody else up here but us, which made this feel like an accomplishment. As for the view, I'll let you decide. After a sweaty hike back down, we went for a long cold shower, van life style. Speaking of the van, we still had to find a spot to spend the night. Even though this was not nearly as hard here as in Santa Marta, the narrow and extremely steep roads in Minca presented their own set of challenges. We stalled a couple times, but eventually we made it to the top and found a park up.
So this is where we parked up, Vinny, just outside of town, on a little hill, next to a hostel right here. They offer this parking lot for travelers who want to stay here in their camper van, which is really cool. And we just paid $12 a night, which is a good price to be in a safe spot.
I feel like this has been such an incredible reset. The adventures we've had today, just from the worry and the stress of yesterday, like it's so easy to give into that, but a place like this, Before leaving Minca and resuming the journey north, we made one last pit stop for some locally grown coffee.
Kim, what are you doing with the bird? It's gonna be very caffeinated.
It likes it. It's just a foam, it's fine.
And discovered warm chocolate chip bread. Warning though, it's not as good as it looks. It's better. After some time in Minca, we were ready to resume the journey north and slowly leave civilization behind. If you do some research about Cabo de la Vela, the town on the northernmost road in Colombia and South America, the reports will put any worries you have about safety into overdrive. The desert up there is a no man's land, a forgotten corner of Colombia. Poverty is off the charts, there's no real law enforcement or proper roads for that matter, and lots of people have been robbed there in the past. But we're putting our optimism to the test and giving it a go. We'll just see how far we get. In the first stretch after Santa Marta, you notice that the nature becomes wilder.
Today we're going to what is Colombia's most popular and arguably best national park. It's called Tayrona National Park. It's got jungle, it's got beaches, it's got the Caribbean blue waters, and you can spend the night there in a rather adventurous way.
After Naik triple-checked if it was actually safe to leave our van in this parking lot of the national park the whole night, and me checking again, just to be absolutely sure, it was time for an adventure.
Alright, we just arrived. Let me show you our castle for the night. Our humble abode for the night. Look at this. Nice little bed. And
walking through this national park, you can't help but stop every few feet just to look around. At every turn, there's something that just makes you go, whoa. It's like nature's reminding us why taking a bit of risk every now and then is worth it. Granted, the road that lays ahead for the coming days is going to be a whole different ballgame, and it will involve a level of isolation and risk that so far we've tried to avoid on this trip from Alaska to Argentina. But for now,
wow, I just still can't believe how beautiful it is out here. I could stay for a few more days, just relax.
After leaving the park, we stocked up for the most challenging bit of the journey: food, water, a full tank of diesel. Before starting the drive up, we spent one night parked up on a beautiful beach. An empty desert isn't exactly a great place for a van breakdown, so we checked our oil and a bunch of other stuff and double-checked our route on the map in hopes of avoiding some of the toughest roads. Most people say you need a 4x4 to get up there, which our van obviously is not. But what worries us way more than our car is the reports on our Overlander from people who've driven up there over the past few years. There is an abnormally high number of travelers who were either ambushed or robbed. So we're just deciding to have a little bit of faith in ourselves, in this journey, and just in people in general.
We're now entering the Guaira department here, which is also home to the Guaira Desert, which is where we are heading now. It's also the second poorest department in all of Colombia, so that really says something. Most people living here are indigenous. It's home to 4 different indigenous tribes. Poverty is so bad that more than 65% of the people living here live below the poverty line.
We passed the last police station that we would encounter on the way north. From here on out, no matter what happens, there is no backup. We're on our own. The stuff you see out here, look at this. It's full of bananas. As long as we stay behind Himlake, there's no way they're gonna rob us. This is where the paved road ends. For us, this trip was an adventure, but for the people who live up here, this desert is their home. Most of them live in small huts with mud floors. They don't have access to water or electricity in the same way you and I do, and there aren't a whole lot of ways they can make an income up here. That's why the locals have started setting up roadblocks where you have to barter with them with goods to let you pass. Kind of like a toll booth. Almost. I was concerned that these roadblocks would get hostile or aggressive, but at the same time it also seemed like a good way to help the local people out. The dilemma reminded me of a Cherokee tribe story. A grandfather sitting by the fire with his grandson tells the boy, "I have a fight going on inside of me." A fight between 2 wolves. One is full of anger, regret, fear, and greed. The other wolf is joy, peace, hope, and kindness. The same fight, he said, is going on inside you and every other person too. The boy took a moment to think and then asked, "So which wolf will win?" To which the grandfather answered, "The one you feed." Hola, buenas. ¿Qué quieres? ¿Quieres? No sé si tengo 5, pero es una, tengo 3. ¿Bueno? Sí. Gracias. Hola. Por favor. Gracias. We handed out cookies, water, crackers, and bags of lentils and sugar at every roadblock we encountered. Although our first interactions with the locals were nothing but positive, we stayed on high alert as we continued north and the desert became emptier. The hectic honking of dozens of scooters that we'd been hearing all week long was now swallowed up by the sound of nothing. At least on the outside. The roads up here, if you can even call them that, are extremely rough. We were told we needed a 4x4 for this section, but we took that with a grain of salt or sand and kept going despite our van literally starting to fall apart. Nothing was going to stop us now, not even when we hit full-on loose sand and Naik's off-roading skills were really put to the test. Maybe this wasn't entirely responsible in this car,
What are we doing?
but sometimes in life you just have to say to hell with responsibility and do it anyway. Of all the places we've ever taken our van, this is hands down the craziest one.
See this? That is the northernmost stretch of road in all of South America.
And we're here. I think the biggest thing this trip has taught us is that if we let our mind run wild, it will come up with a million reasons why all of this is a really bad idea. But on the other hand, you can choose to listen to that one small voice deep inside that says you only need one good reason to do it anyway.